Former Deputy Commissioner Adam Silver has taken over for David Stern after 30 years. 30 years. David Stern has been with he's been with the NBA for 50, amazingly. He started in 1966. He's been around a while. The impact that he has had, according to one website, has certainly indicated the good and the bad. So they go over it. Here it is. Number one, cleaning up the NBA. So they had a huge drug problem, and of course Len Bias overdosed on cocaine, and cocaine apparently was a huge problem. This is obviously way before my time. You may remember part of this. And they credit David Stern.
One of the most memorable mornings of my life, the day Len Bias died. I was living in D.C. I had my college friends staying with me over the summer, and it was just shocking, just completely shocking.
How'd you first hear of it?
On the radio in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, the old-fashioned way you heard about news. We were going to work. We were painting houses over the summer, I think. And we were
You
up.
painted houses?
Yeah, I mean, everybody whose house I painted had to repaint their house the next summer. So,
What did they pay you to paint a house?
I don't know. Whatever they did, it was
nickel?
It was money wasted.
Yeah.
And we heard about Len Bias, and it was just stunning. It was just, you know, again, D.C., and so he played at Maryland, and to go to the Celtics, and the Celtics were so great, coming off a championship. And I think coming off a championship, right? Yeah. They had the number. It was a terrible event, and yes, and symbolic of the 80s and late 70s and 80s giant drug problem in the
Would
NBA.
you say that the NBA and David Stern took a harsh stance, but they showed that they cared about improving the lives of those players who were somewhat addicted?
Yeah, I mean, look, every sport cleaned it up. So, I mean, the NBA did a nice job. I don't know that the NBA had to clean it up more than the NFL or Major League Baseball.
Did
Major League Baseball had a
Did David Stern and the
huge
NBA
cocaine
lead
problem.
that movement, though?
No, I don't know. They were important, and they cleaned it up. But the country
Certainly
cleaned up,
did.
too. We all did a lot less cocaine than we did in the 80s.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did way less. Yeah.
Good to know. Number two, the lockouts. There were 4 of them, and they always argued over free agency, salary caps, revenue sharing. I feel like with the lockout, Gary Bettman takes the cake for being the worst man in sports. It seems like. But David Stern, should he get a lot of the blame for these lockouts?
No, because
Not at all?
No, because everyone loves a 50-game NBA season. It was fantastic. Every season should be 50 games.
I don't disagree with you. I think the NHL should also shorten their.
I don't give a shit how long
season.
the NFL. The NHL should.
The NHL was fantastic because it was not only shortened, but every game sort of mattered a little more.
Totally, yeah.
You go on a 3 or 4 game losing streak, it's like, oh shit, you're dropping to 7th or 8th in the East.
Baseball should be as long as it is, or they could go to 154 because that's part.
They can
People
go to
who aren't
100
baseball
for all I
fans
care.
don't. Yeah, but part of baseball is that it's every day. Like that's its thing. The thing that people don't complain about, but if people don't like it anyway, they don't care whether it's not like people who don't like baseball would watch it if it were 100 games instead of 162.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball is every day. It's a grind. It's a thing. It's a marathon. The NBA and the NHL aren't. They're these great sports that need to play 2 games a week for 25 weeks, partially because of the unbelievably brutal toll that these games take. Like, I grew up thinking the NBA was such a great finesse game. So you sit on the floor for an NBA game.
The old Boston Celtics, 1942,
Right.
Bob
Exactly.
Cousy.
Right. Look at the pass from Cousy. And 2 more for the Celtics.
Oh, they run that pick and roll beautifully.
But you watch now, and this is like a football game. I mean, the pounding that these guys go through, and the notion that you can play 4 games a week, it's crazy. So the NBA needs to do a couple of things. They need to shorten the season, which they obviously know to. They need to redo the playoff formating.
How many games would you say?
I mean,
I know
60.
that
I'm going to compromise. I give them 60 games.
All right, fine.
But, but the nonsense with the divisions now. I mean, they do the playoff seeding by conference, but yet in the paper you open it up and you got to look and see who's leading the Atlantic Division.
Yeah.
Name who's in the Atlantic Division. I mean, you're a serious sports fan, and you don't know off the top of your
head. The Atlantic Division?
Yeah, the Atlantic Division. I think it's called I think it's called the Eastern Division now.
The Chicago Bucks.
Right. Okay. No, but I mean, it's crazy. Like I keep forget the Wizards are in the Southeast. Who's in the Southeast Division?
So what you would like to see is how the
1
NHL...
through 8 in the conference.
Gotcha.
1 through 8 in the conference, and then maybe reseed for the playoffs so that because everyone would the possibility then that the Spurs and the Thunder would play in the finals. That would be okay. Nobody would really mind that.
Sure.
You could take 8 from each conference and then reseed, but at least take 8 from each conference. The divisions are meaningless.
Something that I believe you took a harsh stance on is the Sonics being moved, obviously from Seattle to Oklahoma City. They drafted Kevin Durant in 2007. They moved the franchise in 2007. Is this worse than what the Colts went through when they went from Baltimore?
No, because it wasn't in the middle of the night.
No?
No. They were given an opportunity to fight for their team. They couldn't get an arena, but in 2007 they shouldn't have been getting an arena. But they're going to get one now, and they'll get a team. Seattle should have a team. Seattle's a good,
and also David Stern
Seattle's a great basketball city. Great, they care about the Huskies basketball team. Seattle should have a basketball team.
They also David Stern has not. I mean, like, it's not totally on him, but he has also been part of the movement of the Kings not going to Seattle and keeping them in Sacramento.
Well, they got saved. They got saved by the remarkable work from the current owner and the mayor of Sacramento, and that was a last-second save that you just don't see much. I would rather that team be in Seattle. Nobody gives a shit what I think. But that said, the way Sacramento comes together, that's their one thing. They turn out for that team. They believe in that team. It's nice that they're there.
Sure.
But it would be still good. I think I'd like to see a team in Seattle.
Lastly on the list, they indicate the TV deals. The first one was in 1979 for $400,000.
Do you know when I was growing up, the 1978, the Bullets beat the Sonics for the NBA championship, and I think still that year, maybe even the next year.
Was that the Wes Unseld era?
Yeah. The Sonics beat the Bullets the next year. That was the last Seattle championship prior to the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl in '79. Those years, 76, 77, 78, I think maybe even into 1980, the NBA Finals were tape delayed.
Really?
Yeah, like you couldn't watch it live on television. The NBA Finals, certainly the playoffs. Yeah, into the early 1980s.
Crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's insane. So David Stern changed that. So does he get credit for it? I mean, he was there.
He does.
But I mean, that was an inevitability of recognizing the value. But look,
Sure.
in many ways, basketball should be. I saw a great argument here. We got to go. But the best that in a sense, Stern came up short because basketball, more than football, should be our national game. The ratings should be bigger. We should care more. Only 12 guys on a team. Everybody can play basketball. Much harder to play football and get the gear and do on. Now football is becoming dangerous, and so many parents not going to let their kids play. So basketball only has 12 guys on a team.
Janice Strom.
Right.
Janice Strom, to name one. Janice Strom. Janice Strom not letting her son play football.
So you got. And you can see the players' faces in a way that baseball is covered by a hat to some extent. Football players, these guys, you see their faces, they're imaginative, they're expressive, there's so few guys on a team. The basketball, in a sense, should be bigger. And I thought that was it's an interesting argument.
One last point, and then we have to go. The Chris Paul trade should be on here because he did not let Chris Paul go to the Lakers. He said, actually, you know what? No.
Yeah.
Not going to do it. No. Actually, you know what? Let's send him to the Clippers. Let's bring that franchise around somehow. That was total bullshit. I mean, there's no way that should not have gone through. No freaking way.
Yeah.
Put that on the list. That was that's the dirtiest anyone can ever get in sports.
Yeah, but it should shut everybody up that there's a conspiracy in to make the Lakers good. Everybody still talks about the Pau Gasol trade like the league has it so that the Lakers will be good. I mean, it's a crazy argument. They stopped the Clippers trade. I mean, the Paul trade, so,
I just think that should be on that. So, there you go. We got to go. See you soon.